you were Meaning of Marriage is Keller, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah, I need to revisit that one. I'm not done with the episode that you and Robbie did, but I was trying to listen to it before we got to sit down again. But y'all opened up that one talking about Keller because Keller had just died.
Yeah.
Which is still wild. I was laughing when I was listening to you talk about the books that you don't put on the prominent shelf,
yeah.
and like,
yeah.
I mean, he, like you said, I mean, he died without controversy, and as much of a jerk as John MacArthur can come off, I feel like he'll end up in the same spot, man. Just lifetime of ministry untouched by controversy.
Yeah, I gained a ton of respect for Keller after reading that biography. It was a weird biography because it's not really a biography. It's more like, this is how the man Tim Keller was made by all his influences.
Mm-hmm. Who wrote that one?
Colin
Hanson.
Yes.
Gospel Coalition guy.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And so he's more like showing you, which I really liked the idea, but having I have had thoughts about that idea before, about all these different influences in my life have helped make me.
Mm-hmm.
I got a book called Still Like an Artist, and they talk about how you're not a counterfeit, or you're not plagiarizing somebody if you have 12 different people that you're pulling from,
right? And
they're all coming into a melting pot and making you.
Mm-hmm.
And that book is kind of structured that way of, here's all the influences Tim Keller had in his life in these different seasons of his life.
Yeah. And
this is how he became the man we know of as Tim Keller.
Mm.
And you read all that, and you're like, man, this guy is brilliant. And he's the attractive brilliant of, you want to be someone who's so serious about thinking
mm-hmm.
deeply and being intentional about asking questions. And I mean, I'm sure Tim Keller had fun in his life,
mm-hmm.
but the book gave him this gravitas of, he's someone who's constantly wrestling with what's going on in his mind.
Mm-hmm.
And I appreciated that, because sometimes I feel that way of I cannot turn this thing off.
Mm-hmm.
And thankfully, Berlin helps keep me silly, and there's little rituals for me to help make me more silly.
Yeah.
But seeing someone who isn't the greatest preacher in the world,
mm-hmm.
and he's not as he's not following all these charismatic trends in
mm-hmm.
the church, make the impact he did, and have an impact he did on so many diverse people.
Yeah.
They I'm always baffled, because I haven't really listened to him in a minute, but Rich Wilkerson Jr. in Miami, he's part of an Assemblies of God church.
Mm-hmm.
He's one of those pastors you'd see on Preachers and Sneakers, if you know what that is.
Vaguely.
Okay. Yeah. So he's friends with Justin Bieber.
Okay.
Granted, his sermons would actually probably blow most people away, because they are really solid.
They're good.
But
what's his name again?
Rich Wilkerson Jr.
Rich Wilkerson Jr.
But he's quoting Tim Keller so much in his sermons,
mm-hmm.
and you're a Reformed Presbyterian,
mm-hmm.
probably wouldn't step foot in VOO Church.
Yeah.
Has influenced VOO Church,
mm-hmm.
and it's just a crazy thing to think about in my mind of the impact he's had on people even outside of the Reformed world. Where we praise him, and we're yo, he's one of the pillars for young restless Reformed.
Mm.
And reality is he's branched out way more than that.
Yeah, I think it highlights the value of approachability, and I can't stand I think we've talked about this before. probably one of my biggest pet peeves is snobbery of any kind.
Yeah.
I can't stand when people are like snobs about music or movies or food or anything like that. Like any approach to people that is alienating is I'm like, what are you getting from that? You know? And within the Reformed world, you can really run into that, because it's like, well, if you don't follow Doug Wilson and James White and how many times have you even read the Institutes, and are you reading it out of the 15 yada 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 Geneva edition that like I hate that kind of stuff. And I feel like Keller never he was solid theologically, and he was convictionally Presbyterian, but like accessible to people, because I think he genuinely cared about people.
Yeah.
And I just think there's so much value in that. I remember one of the first times that I interacted with a teacher that was at the school she retired last year, but she's a member of New Covenant, which is a charismatic church, and was quoting to me Doug Wilson,
That's great.
And that was really hard to wrap my mind around, and she loved Tim Keller,
Yeah.
And it was one of the things that made me fall in love with the school, because you had this dynamic of like, man, there are godly people from every denominational background, and you might not agree with everything that a person says, but like what benefit is there for you to only read the people who are in your stream? It's like this year we started a systematic theology class that I'm teaching, and it's been really fun, man. But some of the books that we're using, and I'm not assigning just one book, I'm committing copyright infringement and making copies of a few different books. We're reading Grudem, of course, because
keep in line with what you've always done.
Old habits die hard. And I think it's the punk rock kind of that kind of mindset in me. It's just like, I'm just gonna do it yourself kind of thing, and hopefully nobody catches me. But we're reading Grudem, who's like charismatic-ish Baptist,
That's great.
because he's like convictionally Baptist, but he's a continuationist when it comes to those gifts. Then we're reading Thomas Oden, who is a Methodist theologian. He died not too long ago. And then we're reading James Montgomery Boyce, who's Presbyterian. Just kind of all over the place, because I want the kids to see that it's not about like just listening to the person who's from your denomination. Like there's a lot of value,
That's why, and this is one of the things I regret, but I also understand my thought process at the time when I burned all my like Doug Wilson and stuff books. I found myself being so tribal and rigid that I was like, I have an idol, and I got to do whatever I got to do to destroy this idol. Heavy regret, because man, I had so many like books that I wish I could like open back up, and I wouldn't have had to ask to borrow some books from you, because I had them, and I had all my notes in them, and but then just I don't know. Are you someone that you get caught up kind of maybe daydreaming about the different categories people fall into, and how they're like, it doesn't make sense how this person can blend into, like I think about my buddy Jacob. Without going into too much, Jacob is someone who's very progressive.
Okay.
But he also, me and him got in a conversation about abortion where he's like, no. Like I'm not with that. And you're like, well, that doesn't fit into like your voting block of you should line up on all these things, but you keep going like off on these random adventures, it feels like. And I find myself doing that a lot. But then I love asking people tons of questions, trying to figure out what box they fit in, and then how they break out of that box. Because it's hella inconsistent of like meeting someone, and then like we'll take you for example, like you're a principal at a Christian school, but you like the music you love is not what anyone would like probably assume you love.
Absolutely.
Like, you love classical music, but you also
Yeah.
can get down with some, like, punk rock.
Right. Yeah.
And, like, if a kid started singing that in school, you'd probably shock them because if, like, you know the lyrics and you could, like...
I mean, perfect example. I've got this, these two sisters that this is their second year with us. Their stepdad is into punk and hardcore and has been influencing them, and, like, he has, like, old shirts and stuff like that. And the youngest sister is in the 6th grade. And on Friday, I mean, this is so funny that you bring this up. Literally on Friday, she's wearing a shirt by the Bad Brains, which is a hardcore punk band from Washington, D.C. from the 80s, you know? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I'm not going to say her name, but I'm like, Bad Brains, like, I have to go listen to band from D.C. right now. Like, and what's funny is that she just thinks the shirt is cool. She doesn't really know the Bad Brains yet. And her older sister is the same thing. I'm like, she's wearing a shirt, and I'm like, okay, like, you like this band, or your stepdad likes this band, you know? And then we get into talking about music, and you know, and it's just like you said, like, there are a lot of people at the school, I think, who would assume that I'm only listening to, like, gospel music or, like, K-Love all the time, you know? And I just love the type of music that I enjoy now since I was in elementary school. So I don't know if that means that, like, I'm incredibly immature or, you know, I've definitely branched out. Like you said, I'll listen to some classical all day, or some, like, instrumental piano. And then, you know, I want to listen to, like, Gorilla Biscuits or Comeback Kid, and, you know, just these different, you know, heavier bands. And, and I mean, it's just, like, fundamental. I feel like it's part of, like, who I am, you know. And that's been a tension that's been interesting to work through growing up, just being professional and being in the positions that I'm in, but also having particular interests that, like you say, they don't necessarily fit within the box of okay, Christian school administrator, used to yell for a hardcore band in college. You know? Like, but
that's part of, like, I feel like part of where I would have, like, little identity crises over the years is in my head trying to wrap my brain around my different interests and different likes,
for sure,
and me being like, Austin, you can't you know, love fart jokes but also love talking about systematic theology. They don't blend together. And then being like, no, this is what makes you like, this is the acceptance of, like, you're this weird, like, hodgepodge, like, mess, and that's what makes it interesting when you talk about systematic theology, is somehow you're going to bring up the Captain Underpants fart joke into the conversation, and it's beautiful, and it like allows you to go into all these different spheres. Like, that's why I love it's one of the reasons why I partly want to post pictures all the time of the people I'm hanging out with, but I also don't, because they're so special to me. If people knew some of the people I hang out with, they'd be like, that you I remember it was one day, it was like this one weekend, like that Saturday, I had breakfast with this black guy who
can't say that.
Yeah,
I'm just playing.
this older black, he's like a veteran.
Okay.
He also, like, was a deputy for a time, and he's telling me why, like, he struggles with his love for his country because he doesn't feel like his country loves him. So he like, we're talking about the riots, we're talking about all that stuff, and he's like explaining all this stuff to me. And then the next day, I'm hanging out with somebody who is he's a cop he got disabled, so, like, he can't be a cop anymore, but he's got, like, the back to blue wristband.
Of course.
And we're having these beautiful conversations. I love both of them to death. But they definitely would have tension.
Yeah.
Like, to most people's eyes, if I, like, wrote the descriptions of these two guys out on paper and was like, do you think these guys have any room in the same building? And they'd be like, no, not at all.
Yeah.
those people also go to church together.
Yeah.
And they probably have never had a conversation about that stuff, which is like, I don't know. I love thinking about how diverse people actually are in reality. Of like, I think you even said it in that episode, which I think that's what Ryan was quoting you from, is like diversity is a biblical value, but it's been hijacked by the culture.
Yeah.
Reality is we're all like hella diverse, like just in our own being.
Yeah.
Like we have all these diverse interests, and we can slip in and out of all these different categories and groups. But then somehow, like you're Kobe at the end of the day with all these varying different places you can venture off into.
Yeah.
And that's how it is for everybody. And if everybody realized that, they'd be like, oh, well, we probably shouldn't have to be so tribal, because then like we'd have to be more rigid on ourselves about who we are and try to really stuff ourselves into a box, which would just suffocate us. And this is a random
I've always found that the friendships that I enjoy the most end up being with people that if you're looking at the checklist of interest and personality traits, we don't match up. You know? So in high school, it was a guy named Brian Hill who was similar to how you describe your friend, the progressive friend. What was his name? Jacob. I mean, Brian was, card-carrying Democrat, like down the line, checking all of the I affirm this and I stand against this. And this is pre, like, any of the like culture wars that we have going on right now. So this is like 2005, 2008, like, society looks a little bit different now than it did then, but like we disagreed on abortion, we disagreed on marriage, he was agnostic. He was raised by parents. His dad was I think he had like a Roman Catholic background, and his stepmom came from a very, very, let's just say, like eclectic, charismatic type of background, like really big on like, I think there's a demon in the house and we need to like cleanse the house, kind of like, and I'm not knocking that one way or the other, but like almost like on the superstition type of level. Yeah. And then my best friend now is Ethan Parker. And Ethan is a theater major, who loves musicals, and he let's just say he has a certain personality and cadence about him that you would not put together with my monotone, like deadpan type of humor, man. But I mean, he literally spent the night at my house last night. Like, we just watch movies and hang out and talk about music. But I mean, it's like the best friendship that I've ever had, and it's the pieces don't seem to fit. And I love that. Thank you. I feel like, even though like
thank you, Maid. I'm just kidding.
Better watch it. I guess long story short, I think diversity makes people uncomfortable because people are more comfortable around those that all of the boxes are the same.
Yeah, it's easier to control.
Yeah, easier to control, and yet the diverse friendships and the diverse relationships, the diverse entities and organizations are typically the most vibrant. I think your life is enriched when you're like rubbing up against, that's not a great way to put it, when you're interacting with people who kind of, like you're saying, like they challenge you, challenge kind of what you assume, what you think, what you've worked through. But I think a lot of it is, and this connects back to, I think, our first conversation, I think a lot of times people don't do that, and they choose to go toward like, I'm going to be around people who agree with me on everything because they're insecure. Yes. And that they actually don't.
I've been that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I've absolutely been that. I think it's when you start like letting go of that kind of stuff, and like it's more of like a removal of ego than anything. I think that you can really develop some rich friendships. But
what I've loved about like when I read the Tim Keller biography, was I've had this kind of push-pull relationship with the Reformed community since kind of leaving it to whatever degree that happened, and not really knowing how to reconcile the good things it gave me, but also rejecting some of the things I didn't like.
Yeah.
And reading Tim Keller was kind of like a full circle moment
For sure.
of me being like, nah, like this is how this fits into my life again.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know if like a reform people would probably still be annoyed by some of the things I do or say about God and theology and stuff like that. But I found I'm in this place where I really appreciate the Reformed community again, because I read that biography. I'm like you guys, like, this is one of your champions.
Yeah.
And he has made such an impact on my life. And I think about you or Mark Driscoll or, Douglas Wilson. And I'm like, they all gave me pieces that make me me. And then I've been working on this study in Galatians that I'll do for the podcast. And it was beautiful reading through Galatians and being like, now this is why Calvinism exists. This is why like systematic theology exists, is to help you understand, like, they're not bad guys for giving us a framework for how to understand this stuff. Like, would I tweak some of it? Maybe. But also, if I'm going to try to explain the gospel to somebody, I'm stealing a lot from Calvinism.
Yeah.
Because the 5 points arrange things so beautifully that they're easy to pass on to someone else and be like, here's a good way to like start to understand this whole mystery of the gospel. And
I think for me, and I'm about to sneeze, so forgive me for that. I think the thing that has always attracted me to Reformed theology is the ability, when rightly understood, to feel the weight and see the darkness of our brokenness and our fallenness, and that be felt, but also have the grace, the richness, the light of the grace of God toward us in Christ magnified. Like, hey, you've got to understand the bad news before you can savor the good news. And I've always loved that, because I think that a lot of other perspectives and a lot of other systems end up underemphasizing one of them, and then it cheapens like the ultimate goal, I think, of theology and particularly of like the Reformed perspective is to magnify the grace and the glory of God, particularly in the saving of, like, I remember this. Do you remember Timothy Brindle, the rapper, the Lamp Mode recordings?
Wow.
I'm just like taking it back,
Deep
man. Man, he used to have some songs and make statements that have stuck with me for years, and I mean, he's like Westminster grad, so he's talking about restoring ruined sinners to himself for his glory and for their joy. And I remember hearing that and thinking about the way that the gospel is presented from, I will just say from a Reformed perspective, and just seeing that. But then the downside, and something that I've struggled with over the years, is sometimes the sinfulness of man can be so emphasized that the image of God seems to be completely absent from us. And even and this is a whole can of worms that we could like dive into a whole episode about, like, I've struggled with the human will even post conversion in connection to like how fallen we are. Like,
being on the same page.
Yeah, and it's like, I mean, just really wrestling with like feeling enslaved in different areas, and feeling like.
Sorry for cutting you off.
No, dude, go.
The image of God one was heavy because I was listening to so much Reformed teaching.
Yeah.
And I felt like I was constantly hearing how depraved I was,
Yeah.
even after
Yeah.
I've been saved.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like I have all these negative thoughts. I don't know if I need to keep hearing this anymore.
Yeah.
And so that was one like pushback I had to constantly being in the Reformed world. It was like, no, I get that I'm totally depraved.
Yeah.
That hasn't been the struggle for me. I need to hear that God like loves me as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like I found how that can fit in again, but the other one being the human will afterwards, and that's where I've kind of like went to the John Mark Comers and like Eugene Peterson types of like the contemplative guys, because I'm like, okay, they're offering me something, and maybe this is what you're meaning by like the will part of after you're saved, how do you develop into more of like the image of Christ, and like what part am I playing in all this?
Yeah.
And is it really like if there's nothing I contribute, I'm struggling because I'm just standing here.
Yeah.
And I need like what's my part in the story and all that stuff. And the Comers and stuff, they really have emphasized to me like the importance of spiritual disciplines and how like I love Comer a lot. So
who is he again?
John Mark Comer. He used to be a pastor in Portland, Oregon.
Okay.
He just stepped down because he started this thing called Practicing the Way, and so it's this initiative for churches to go back into practicing spiritual disciplines, and not like the just read your Bible, but like the importance of fasting and prayer and silence and solitude, Sabbath, and helping. It's taken a lot from like the Desert Fathers and Mothers in church history, bringing those people back to the forefront and being like, there's a reason tradition existed. It's not like we are so individualistic in our churches now that we don't really value community. Yeah. We just value getting the message, singing some songs, out. And he's like, no, there's some like maybe this is that where like liturgy comes in. There's a reason why ancient traditions in Christianity have things that they're going to go through in the service, and it's all for your betterment. And there's a reason confession matters. Like, you don't have to necessarily confess to a priest, but you should be regularly confessing to somebody, and you should be regularly taking a break for a full day, because it's not like Jesus didn't Sabbath, and silence and like slowing down the pace of your life. He quotes in his book The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry, this like Japanese theologian who said Jesus walked 3 miles an hour at a time or something like that. And the purpose behind it was Jesus had a slow but determined pace that he walked at, of slow enough to be interrupted, but he was going somewhere when he was going places. And we in like modern evangelicalism are so rushed. Like we don't have time to slow down and contemplate like, where is my relationship with God at right now? And he's like getting back to, they're trying to push this thing of get back to slowing down your pace of life, because you're going too fast that you can't even, and you have all this noise in your head from all the podcasts that I listen to that could be good, but sometimes you need to be in the silence. And there's a reason Jesus often retreated, and there's a lot of that stuff that I don't know if that's what you meant by like the struggling with the human will. Or,
I mean, it's definitely all in the ballpark.
That's why like I've been reading like Atomic Habits and stuff like that of.
Who wrote that one?
James Clear.
Okay.
And like the Ryan Holidays and stuff like that, because I feel like a lot of the things they're talking about, like self-control and discipline and all that stuff, it's like, as a church we should probably be talking about like, how do you get that? Like Paul talked about it, but we kind of like brush over it for like this quick Jesus tagline of Jesus is gonna do it through you, and it's like, well, there's like some psychology Paul was using too, like I don't know.
I mean, there's so many things like that come to my mind as I listen to what you're saying. I mean, just kind of the importance of church being seen as a participative. It's something that we're participating in.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't actually not something that I experienced before my family joined Grace,
Mm-hmm.
and that's not because the churches that I was a part of before were bad and Grace is a perfect church. It's that the churches that I was a part of before, in so many ways by design, and it's not like nobody had like malicious intent with this. It's just, I think it's American evangelicalism.
Mm-hmm.
They had a production element to it, and conversations that were being had in preparation for Sunday were so focused on the optics of how the service is going to look. And I mean, and some of that is by necessity. I mean, every church is going to say, okay, we're going to do X amount of songs, we're going to have the sermon here, we're going to do this here. But like, there was so much emphasis giving to like, how do we assimilate people when they come in and make sure that they get plugged into a Sunday school class, or they go here. And like I said, none of those things are evil. But what was lacking in the midst of that, I think, was this. And in the moment, I didn't even recognize that this was missing. And where it started to click for me was when I started going to Grace and we're singing a cappella, and many times it sounded like an absolute dumpster fire, but we're sharing in something together. And from the outside looking in, it is not appealing. And when I first got there, I was like, what if visitors come here? Like, no visitor is going to want to be a part of this, and it's too informal. And I remember talking to Mike and talking about how we need to refine this system, and we need to. And I didn't get it. I had no categories necessarily, and it started to click for me when I realized what it was we were doing.
Yep.
Okay, we weren't going there to listen to somebody sing, and that's what I had spent a lot of my life doing. Is like, I like the music, and sure, I'm going to engage in worship, but like it didn't feel like a community participating in something that was transformative for us. And
you need to hear Ray Parker sing like "Come Thou Fount." Like, you need to hear that from someone else in your church, because that's something we should all be doing anyways for each other. Is like building each other up, singing these praises to God that have this inspired truth in them about you're made in the image of God, and you have this hope in you, like this hope for you. You need to hear that from someone else. And like, me and Berlin visited church this morning, and you couldn't hear, like, the band was so loud. And we were looking around and no one's singing.
It's exactly
the community element was completely taken out of it. And me and Berlin are standing there and we're like, this isn't refreshing. And the one thing I was thinking about was a church like Grace would be refreshing for us, because we'd hear other brothers and sisters in Jesus singing these truths that we're needing to hear right now.
What I love is the dynamic at our church where we've got certain songs that these are our songs. I've never felt that at a church before. All right, when we sing number 51, "The Secret Place," written by R.C. Sproul, as lit up as Baptists can get, like, it's going to get lit up in there. And there have been times where like Ethan is singing it and he accidentally skips over a verse, which is an easy thing to do. And I'm like, he's literally singing, and he stops. He thinks we're finished, and it's been me before. I'm like, hey, we missed verse 3. We've got to go back and sing verse 3. And he's like, shoot, we do have to sing verse 3. And then we just go in and we sing verse 3, because we can't miss that verse because it's so meaningful. There's another one we love, "All Glory Be to Christ," actually written by the singer of like a melodic rock band, like a post-rock band, Thrice, Dustin Kinsrew. He was the singer of the Modern Post. He was affiliated with Mars Hill for a lot of years.
Okay.
Amazing song. Unfortunately, he's like, completely deconstructed, and is.
We all.
I mean, but he's like, he's having a trans feminist Lutheran minister talk about the importance of climate change advocacy. Like, I'm talking, he's going.
Right. Okay, not what I was expecting.
Yeah, you hear people talk about being red pilled.
Yeah.
Would the opposite be blue pilled? I like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whatever the like cultural, like all of the PC, all of that stuff, he's taken the whole bottle, and it's really sad. But anyways, none of that matters to the song "All Glory Be to Christ," because dude, that song is so good. And when we sing, when he tells us to turn to that page, I can't remember which one that is. You can almost feel everybody being like, "Oh yeah, yeah, son." And I never experienced that growing up.
Yeah.
You know, not that I didn't, and I was a child in church, so like how would I have been able to discern it? You know,
Yeah.
but as an adult, I didn't experience that until I started going to Grace, and I've increasingly not valued commercialization, and I don't. And this kind of goes back to like punk roots stuff too, man, because it's like it doesn't feel like something that everybody's going to like appreciate or understand. It's like, you know, this is our thing. Like, and when I say our thing, like, you know, God's people everywhere can experience this, but like you think about like a local church and the experience of life within that, man, I love that. So
because we have an actual topic.
So here's what I think we should do.
Okay.
All right. How far in are we?
48.
All right. So we're 48. That's a solid conversation already.
Okay.
The thing that I love about coming in, like talking to you, is because like we don't have to like, okay, let me go through this bullet point, you know, this, that, or the other, and like the way that the conversation has organically like just flowed. Now I'm not gonna mess up this momentum.
You want to keep going?
So here's my thing.
Okay.
We either just continue just taking this down the road that we want to go.
Okay.
You know, wherever it goes. All right. Here's the red pill, blue pill. Or we say, all right, let's break, dive into a different topic. You know what I mean? Because like I'll come and, I mean, obviously we can cut all of what I'm saying out right now, but like,
I love it.
I'll come and we can have a whole nother conversation about education, like that. Or if we want to dive into education now, that's cool to me. I think I value, and I think you would too, natural conversation over forced. And but if you want to pivot, man, I'm ready to talk about some education stuff. If we want to continue diving into church stuff, I'll let you think about it a little bit because I gotta go pee.
Okay, go.
Into that.
Yeah.
But I thought that might be
Not hitting pause this time.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they're gonna hear me.
So we'll do that education episode some other time.
Okay, that sounds good.
All right. Where were we last at?
So we were talking about church as like a participative, like community experience, the value of
what do you
liturgy, stuff like that.
What do you think? Me and Berlin been having tons of conversations about this a lot. Because I'm feeling like, and this is not me like I'm trying to leave the bridge. Because I love the bridge and I love what like our mission is and stuff like that. And me and Robbie have talked about this. Sometimes I feel like I have a home church spirit in a like I don't know what you'd call the bridge. A more like institution type church, production oriented. Like that's where I'm going. Like that's the church environment I'm in. Yeah. But I'm constantly like, I would love to get some people, like brothers and sisters and Jesus in our house and us do church. Like I'm constantly having that push and pull of like, of I'm really valuing the community when I'm going to church. Like that's, it's gotten to the point to where I'm not necessarily going for the preaching. Yeah. I'm not going for the worship, though I need those things. I'm going because I need to be in community and I need to be built up by brothers and sisters in Christ. I need to hear what they have to say about the scripture. I want to wrestle with the scriptures together.
Mm-hmm.
Like those small group Bible studies mean a lot to me.
Yeah.
And me and Berlin have just been constantly talking about some issues we've been seeing in this like production oriented way of doing church, where this is kind of why I've gotten into Comer, is we're forming and shaping people into something.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't feel like the way like the American way of doing church has solved any of our problems. Mm-hmm. I think they've highlighted and made them worse in some cases. I had Andrew Rowland on yesterday. He's the youth pastor at Refuge Church in Lakeland.
Okay.
And he, for his like ministerial training, had to go and visit a bunch of Church of Gods. Mm-hmm. And I asked him what the good thing he's seen in all the churches he visited, what's like a dangerous trend he's seeing. Mm-hmm. And the dangerous trend he had been seeing is people not valuing the community. They don't care about the personal relationships they're going to get from Sunday or Wednesday or whenever the church meets. They're just there to check it off the list that they went to church, or to get a sermon from the preacher, or sing their favorite song. Mm-hmm. And how the other thing he's pushing at Refuge is you need to be in community. You need to be building personal relationships with people. Mm-hmm. Like that's why we're here, is to be an actual family.
Yeah.
What is I don't know, what's a dangerous trend you've been seeing in, I guess, American church, American Christianity? Maybe you see it like impacting the kids in your school a certain way too. Like with all the different backgrounds they're coming from, is there like a common theme of like issue with the churches, or maybe that's not a thing at all?
I mean, in so many ways, I end up seeing those kinds of things in connection to what we've been talking about. You know, misunderstanding what is actually taking place when we go to church, and I feel like I'm a product of that in so many ways. Like, even in times when I felt like my walk with the Lord was strong, and you know, I'm walking closely with the Lord. There were a lot of times where I still didn't really understand the church as an institution and what its purpose is. You know? And that would come out in so many different ways. You know, it would come out in viewing music played at church through a very concert kind of lens, where, you know, I might be drawn toward the instrumentation or the vocal performances. I remember playing in the band as a kid.
Yeah.
And as an obnoxious drummer always would, you know, focus on this. Like, I always was pumped up about like different breaks within the song where the drums cut
God's
out,
and
then I mean, I can't wait to, like, you know, I remember as like a, you know, punk and metal loving teenager, I wanted to use my double bass pedal during like Here I Am to Worship or something ridiculous, like, and I didn't really have a meaningful understanding of what church music is. Like, I would actually be of a perspective now that, like, I don't really think that this might be
regulative
a controversy.
Principle? Are you going that way?
So generally regulative principle, but like probably the application that I was gonna make is like, and like I said, I don't know if this is a hot take. I don't know if this is like will offend the people that listen to your podcast, but like, if I go to a church and there's a guitar solo, I'm gonna be like, why is this here? Like, what? Why is that? Why is that a part of this? Because I don't need to be focusing on your stupid guitar solo. You know, the most important thing to me in corporate worship is, I mean, obviously giving the textbook answer, is the glorifying of God through the collective singing of God's people, of a song that is followable, that is it's structured for God's people to hear each other sing, just like we were talking about earlier. And so when I started realizing that like that is, and I don't want to come off like elitist or snobby like I was talking about earlier, but like it changed the way that I view music in church.
Yeah.
And there's like a whole different category for me.
You're saying this as a musician.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm saying this as somebody who, on the way home from church, I'm listening to a metal band who just put out a remix and a remaster of their debut album that was life-changing for me, and I'm listening and comparing the way that the mixes are on the album, and I mean it's just heavy music. Like I'm listening to that on the way home after I've sang The Secret Place and we've sang Amazing Grace. Like I put them in like completely different categories, and so I know this is kind of going a different direction even from the question that you asked, so trying to kind of get back to that, like I don't feel like a lot of people have experienced the type of rhythm that you're talking about within church, where there is, okay, word has to be central. Like we gather for word and sacrament, word and ordinance, if you want to say, like, the ordinary means of grace. And I think that is probably how I'm going to land this plane, is like the older that I've gotten, the more that I've come to understand that, like, when we gather on the Lord's Day and we sing songs and we hear the word and we participate in the Lord's Supper, we go through these things that are like routines of the church. Those things are communicating actual grace to us in a way that is unique, and it is something that I don't believe takes place in the same way with our individual walk with the Lord. Like, one more comment and then I'm done. A lot of my life, I lived as if the height of my walk with the Lord was my day-to-day individual time with God, and that church on Sunday was like the supplement to that. And my mindset has flipped completely to where really the central thing in my life as a Christian is the gathering of God's people on Sunday, and my walk with the Lord through the week is a preparation for that. But
it's not, if that's the height of like your walk with Jesus, like during the week. It's not the height because you're hearing the amazing Mike Frazier deliver his like you're not going to church to hear Mike Frazier. You're not going to church to hear Ethan Parker or whoever is the band at the church. Like I think that's what me and Berlin have been noticing is, and your dad talks about this a lot. He had talked about how people would be like, "Oh, do you go to Austin's church?" Like Austin Deloach's church? And he's like, "No, I go to Southside." They were like, "Yeah, but like Austin's a preacher there, right?" And he's like, "Yeah, but it's not his church. It's God's church." And that's a very like maybe annoying answer to give. Like someone said that, and you're like, "Really? Like, you know what I mean?"
You know what I'm talking about. Yeah.
But then where it clicked for me was reading, what is it, one of the Corinthians, where he talks about, I follow Paul, and Jesus is mentioned in that, of like, some say I follow Jesus. And you're like, why would he throw Jesus' name in the midst of all these other like humans? And then you think about how we've structured church generally in the West, and so much of it is one guy preaching for 30 minutes to an hour, whatever. He's the only person who's behind that pulpit for most Sundays throughout the year. And so, in my mind, what that's communicating is God's not working in anybody else. Like the point of having multiple elders, because God's working through multiple individuals in your church to help shepherd and care for you. Like, you should be hearing from their voices too. But we've created such an experience where you're hearing from one guy, 52 Sundays a year. And his identity, who he is shaping the church. And whatever the band is, in a lot of cases, they're helping prop up the pastor to like elevate what he's about to say. Like, we're gonna hype you up to hear what so and so is about to deliver because he's our guy.
Yeah.
And we're all trying to be more like him. When I think that if we structured our churches differently, which is kind of where John Mark Comer's headed, and like Francis Chan, they're like, I don't want to be the main guy preaching the majority of the time during the year.
Yeah.
If we have multiple elders, why are not multiple people preaching? Our people need to hear from different perspectives because I'm not flawless. And like, we know of pastors who they're getting burned out. Like, it's taxing to be wrestling with the scriptures, because you're not just wrestling with like God's truth and like theology. You're wrestling with your own sinfulness as God's confronting you about how broken you are.
Yeah.
That's like an emotional roller coaster every week. And though we should all be like wrestling with those things, a pastor is kind of put in a place where he's forced to do that every week, and he's supposed to come out with this product that's going to challenge you. And we maybe need to kind of restructure church again to where we're seeing more of the body on display. To where we're actually seeing what God's doing in more than just one person's life.
Absolutely.
And hearing from their different perspectives of like, yeah, that's scary because I'm thinking about theology wise. Like, there's guys in our church who I know with like, I'll use Wayne Aid as an example. I think Wayne is one of the best teachers we have at the Bridge. I want to see him preach. Not just because like I think he's a great teacher, because I know he's spending time with God and his relationship with God. Like, he has this shepherding spirit for our church, and I want to hear that. But me and Wayne on theology, we're gonna have some disagreements, and so that is scary. Of you start letting more than one person preach, you can get in some dangerous territory. Because they're not like, I'd imagine at Grace, y'all do like have like this rotation going. You and Mike and Brandon probably disagree on some things here and there, and it's shaping like the messages you're delivering. And though y'all are reformed, and I know y'all are having like conversations constantly about like all this stuff, and you're working it out. Like, it could be scary at times and like risky to be like, yeah, I'm gonna let Cobie preach when Cobie, like, if I'm going too far, you can tell me. But like, Mike's more premillennial, you're more postmillennial.
Right.
Those do have an effect
For
on
sure.
your sermons, on your theology, on like day-to-day practice. And though y'all have things you're central on, once you start going through the book of Revelation verse by verse, and you're on a rotation,
it's
like,
a tough spot.
Like, I can see the danger of how it can be like time consuming to work through all the kinks of that stuff. But I do think it'd be better, because when me and Berlin went to this church today, when we've known about this church, the pastor is the guy.
Right.
It is this pastor's church. His influence is like painted all over the place. And when you have, no offense to the church, but like when you have screens and they have close-ups of the musicians and the words are tinier than the people's faces,
Right.
I do think that communicates something to the people.
Absolutely. I think a lot of it, man, is like the cultural reality that we all love celebrity,
Yes. Just sum up what I said way better in one word: celebrity.
I mean, that's it. We have all of these expectations that end up impacting the way that church functions. I mean, and then you even think about other things that are like necessary evils, but like maybe we don't think through the implications enough. So what I mean by that is like, okay, most of your churches have a minister that they employ full time.
Yeah.
And this is his job.
Yeah.
And so there is, with that, this expectation that you're going to be the guy.
Yeah.
And so it's like almost like self-fulfilling prophecy kind of thing, where it's like the church can't help but begin to reflect and demonstrate the image of the pastor, and then be known as so-and-so's church or so-and-so's church. And then when it inevitably doesn't work out well, which frequently it doesn't, a lot of times I don't think we take a step back and say, is there a problem with the system? Like we just need another guy.
Yeah.
I think, no, I'm not going to make that joke. It's a toxic scenario, and it's not healthy for the people who are leading the churches, so to speak, and it's ultimately not healthy for the people who are a part of those churches, like you're saying. Like, I remember when Joey, my brother, was on staff at a church in Virginia that was expanding rapidly. One of the things that I respected about this church and the minister of that church was that as they planted new campuses and as they established additional churches, they weren't gathering places where people got in a room and they watched him on a screen. There was a campus pastor there
that's good.
who preached there. And what they did was they would meet and they would all preach the same text. And the lead pastor would say, these are the points that I'm going to make. I want us to be within this framework, but go preach to the people at the church. And I think there's problems with mega churches in general. I would
Let's burn them down.
I would tend to say that those need to be, I don't know how offensive I want to be, but a lot of times I think mega churches just don't work out well, and they should be split off and be smaller churches. But okay, let me Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde it. Let me counteract my point and say I also see that there are times when there are resources that a mega church has that can be utilized for good. Yeah. That maybe you would have a harder time if there were multiple churches trying to be cooperative. There's way more cons in my mind. Definitely some pros, but people love celebrity, and people are naturally inclined to, this is my guy. You can even run into this with if you have multiple people teaching, because I think he's clearer when he teaches, and I like the way that he brings out this point. And why doesn't he do what he does? And like you have the danger of rivalry there. And you have to bring that up, and you have to think about that, because what you and I recognize, and this goes back to the sinfulness of man. Like there's an opportunity for rivalry. Man, I want to get up there and give a good message, and there have been times where my idiot self I've listened to somebody give a message, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, I would have went a different way, and I can't. I hate myself when I do that. Like I recognize that's toxic, but it's there. It's like, why didn't he make this point? It's clear in the text, and meanwhile there's somebody sitting in the seat when I'm doing that saying this dude sucks, and obviously I'm being a little bit facetious, but
it just makes me question, like, if our goal in Christianity is to shape and form people into Jesus, into like we're trying to, the whole point of making disciples is for all of us to become more and more like Jesus and adapting the lifestyle of Jesus and how he lived. But I feel like we're dropping the ball a lot in that area, because we're not shaping and forming people into Jesus. We're shaping and forming them into volunteers for our various ministries, so that we can keep like upping up the budget and doing more like grand like spectacles on Sunday. And I think this is the trap that like I see a Mike Todd, that pastor, do with transformation. Which I've read Mike Todd's book and I've heard him in interviews, so I feel like he's a solid Christian. Mm-hmm. Just like my own observation, even though it matters for no one. I'd say he's a solid Christian. But if I like ever got a chance to have a conversation with him,
Mm-hmm.
I'd ask him like, do you think that maybe like you're cultivating an environment where people aren't actually becoming more like Jesus? They're becoming more like what Transformation Church is trying to build.
Mm-hmm.
Of you're creating this dependency on what's going on at Transformation, and you're creating a people are coming there to see what crazy thing Mike Todd's going to do next with his illustration.
Yeah.
Of like you're upping the ante constantly, and I get the whole like the critique of we don't just preach the word. Like it's okay to use illustrations and to show personality. I would agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
But then we create these huge spectacles over and over every Sunday that we lose sight of why we even started the illustration to begin with.
Yeah.
And I'm just sometimes I wonder how much farther the church could go with I feel like a lot of smaller we pick on the mega churches because they're out in the open.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's seeing the Hillsong documentaries, so it's easy to critique them.
Yeah.
But what I feel like a lot of us are noticing is our smaller churches are looking up to these mega churches, and we're adapting the programs and the mindset or philosophy of ministry that these mega churches are doing, and we're trying to be the next mega church and not actually trying to be the church of Jesus that wasn't worried about or shouldn't be worried about. I'm thinking about like the budget that I know some churches spend on the media department.
Yeah.
Or, decorating for VBS. And I'm like, I don't know if Paul would be, I think we'd be the subject of one of Paul's letters of him be like, why did you spend $40,000 on camera equipment and not donate that to help plan another local church to reach more people, and or to just help build the community up that you're supposed to be ministering to.
Yeah.
Like we're spending tons of resources on more and more buildings that with rooms that we don't really need. Like I think we forgot like the churches back in the day, they're meeting in like the biggest homes of whoever the congregant is. They're also like that, so they didn't have as much room as we have, but they're also willing to go to each other's houses. And a lot of us don't know what each other's houses even look like. And why do we need 13 Sunday school classes when we have 30 congregants in our church, and we could go to each other's houses and actually build real life on life community, really confess to each other because we're in a smaller group, we're in our homes, we're more comfortable, and we can actually like practice the discipline of like generosity of I'm going to cook these people a meal.
Right.
And it's going to take some sacrifice because I'm struggling to feed my own self. But I'm building this generous spirit in me that I should be building anyways by sacrificing some financial means I have to feed others, to build community so that we can confess and pray together and wrestle through the text together. And yeah.
I think, if I'm playing, I don't want to, if I'm trying to move to the other side and argue from a different perspective, one of the things that I think would be brought up as a counter to the why are you spending $40,000 on cameras, which I completely get the, you know that in talking with me, I'm going to typically resonate with. I just said that you shouldn't have a guitar solo during worship. Is I think a lot of times people, if you're giving them the benefit of the doubt, it's we're doing this because this gives more people access to the message of the gospel. We're doing a big VBS production because there are a ton of kids that are unchurched and their parents will drop them off and we can feed them and we can talk to them about the gospel. Like, I think you and I, because I think we're wired similarly in that we're good at analyzing and picking out what's wrong with things. You know? When I was doing my master's program and I was observing at Highland, I was spending a lot of time with this wonderful, wonderful history teacher. Her name is Mandy Sutton. Top 10 like influential person on my life. And you've known me for a long time, and you know that I have some like perspectives on history and like people from history that would be like kind of
we'll keep off air.
Yeah, but like I remember we were going through and we're talking about different presidents, and I could like name like, you know, well, FDR was terrible for this reason. You know, Abraham Lincoln was terrible for this reason. Like, you know, and typically those are like beloved people, and and I would just always have this like I would always have something to say about a president that was negative, to be honest. And she hit me with this question and she didn't do it snarky. She did it in the, she has a way about her. She was like, I know what you don't like about all of the presidents. Can you tell me about a president that you do like? And I didn't have anything to say, you know, and like, I don't want to be a negative person, but for some reason I'm wired in a way where when I'm looking at something, what I immediately am like mindful of is like, that's dysfunctional, this is messed up, that's problematic, that's a dumpster fire, like, you know. And so like you and I can like look at,
it's a constant battle to find the positive. I would say though, like because I'm at a church that we can be kind of production oriented.
Absolutely.
What I love about some of these mega churches and stuff like that is they do foster this desire to create, and they do shepherd people who are naturally artistic pretty well. Like, they give them a space to play in the church. And I love that.
It's interesting.
And I do love their I love the heart of, let's have $40,000 worth of cameras to reach more people. I would just say, are you really reaching people the best way possible? Because in my mind, we have a huge problem culturally. Where people are so addicted to their screens that they forgot how to have conversations with their family members at the dinner table. So if, as a church, we're actually supposed to be light in the world. Are we really being a light by adding something more to the screen? Or with the way we combat that is we add more home groups.
I think the big thing that, you know, we're highlighting is that it's almost like the larger that a church becomes, the more trappings pop up. You know, celebrity pastor, what illustration is he going to use next? Buying into the ends justify the means kind of mindset, and we're spending this on this, and then before you know it, you know, the church is committing some form of fraud because they buy your pastor's New York Times book to make sure that it's on the selling list, you know. You know what I mean? Like, it's such a slippery slope, man. And I think it just highlights
we were blessed by that.
Absolutely. It highlights the deceitfulness of sin, I think. And I think simplicity is increasingly difficult in our culture. But I think that people like you, and this is something that I feel like has been present in my life for a while, like, I think you see a renewed valuing of the simplistic and the like you're talking about, like just spending time with people and, you know, trying to develop community. You know, there was something else that you said that I wanted to piggyback off of, but
the arch thing.
Well, that was an interesting point, you know, and I do think, like, man, that is a huge value for people who are wired that way, you know, and why is it that like artistically gifted, like creative people, why do they tend to be more drawn toward a larger church? You know, that's an interesting.
Ryan Adams. Like, it makes sense why Ryan Adams is at the church he's at. Because dude is talented.
Does he go to the Bridge?
No.
Okay. Right.
First Baptist Tifton. He
Okay.
is so talented, and they have a place where you can
Yeah.
serve Jesus and your local community of believers
Yeah.
with his skills.
Yeah.
And that's something we can't really offer at the Bridge. And like, yeah, I mean, like, I would say this, we could definitely use someone like Ryan Adams.
Yeah.
But the problem is like, when it comes to the means of how he's going to use that gift, he's more limited at the Bridge.
Yeah.
And like, his scope of creativity would be limited.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a way that he is able to honor God. And like,
Yeah.
you kind of are jealous at First Baptist in Tifton, because you're like, man, he's able to not only do it himself, but then he's training other young creatives up to do it too, and it's plugging them into the church, and it's giving them a place to create. And that, I mean, that's what made Mars Hill so amazing. I think is you had all these different amazing bands come out of Mars Hill. It's because they gave them room to be creative and weird and alternative. And
I think a ditch that I have to watch out for too, and I hope anybody that I offended with the anti-guitar solo will have held on for this long so they can hear me balance myself a little bit. When I say that worship becomes so production-y and we need to avoid the spectating type of mindset, I'm not saying that the music that we play should not be done well. You know, I don't think that a genuine person who's a horrible musician and a terrible vocalist is like, I don't think that's a great thing, you know. And it's just like, well, he's genuine, you know, and his heart's in the right place. Like, no, I need somebody up there that can help us to sing on key.
Yeah.
I need there to be someone up there that can help us keep time, you know. I don't want my skin to crawl when they sing. And so, like, when I think about somebody like Ryan, or I think about, like, people who are on staff or, like, leading music at larger churches, like, I absolutely think there's value in excellence, and there's value in doing things well. There's just that line. Like, one of the things I love the most about Ethan, man, Ethan is a trained actor and musician.
Yeah.
Like, you know, bachelor's in theater, master's in music, has literally traveled the world and had people pay him thousands of dollars to perform songs, and like literally a working actor. He has the skill to, like, I've sang karaoke with that dude, and it's not fun because he's good. You know, he's like singing Dream On by Aerosmith, who I hate. I can't stand that band. But he's killing it. You know what I mean? He's singing it as good as the vocalist, Steven Tyler. Horrible band. I have to add that. All right, he's singing that, and then I'm singing the Cranberries Zombie, yelling in the microphone like a gorilla. You know, like
we are Helms and
we are not the same. You know, he is legitimately talented, and when he leads worship at the church, dude, there is no look at me. It's not you know, let me hit this piano part, and I'm gonna blow your mind with how I play the piano. He doesn't promote himself. He's removed from the situation in so many ways. He's literally up there and he's like, all right, good morning, church. Take your hymnals, turn to page 42.
Yeah.
And then he plays the song. And then he says, all right, take your folder. We're going to go to number 19. And he plays the song like it's not soulless. You can tell that he's passionate. But he has a right view of what it is he's doing there. He's not there to have people look at him and say, man, Ethan is killing it, you know. And I think that's the danger for everybody, you know, at a church in so many ways. It can be, look at me, I delivered a good call to worship, or, you know, I read the scripture and I didn't mess up on the words, or I preached a sermon, or I'm performing the song and I hit all the fills and I didn't mess up. Like, ego's the enemy, you know. So I think that's the big danger in so many ways when I look at a lot of that. So
ego, yeah.